Most people, when they make a sequel, tend to make the movies larger. They didn't do that with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Instead, what they did was they just made the main character larger.
I do some dumb things, and the people I love the most, they pay the price.
Thanks to you, we had to run.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is directed by Peyton Reed and it stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Lawrence Fishburne, Hannah John Kamen, Bobby Cannavale, Judy Greer, and I'm thinking of someone... Michael Pena and Walton Goggins. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the sequel to Ant-Man. It takes place 2 years after Captain America Civil War. Scott Lang is under house arrest and he's recruited by Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym. They're on the run because Scott used this technology in Civil War and they need his help to go to the quantum realm. So he's got to help them whilst he's under house arrest, and they kind of take him out, and there's a bad guy named Ghost who's after the quantum realm, and there's a bunch of other subplots that go through. They're not really explained in the promotional, they work better as surprises, I guess. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, is a pretty solid sequel and a solid Marvel sequel, considering how Marvel sequels have gone. You got Iron Man 2, Avengers 2, Thor 2, Captain America 2, Guardians 2. Like, there isn't a whole lot of, oh, every one of those sequels were great. It might be like, you know, Avengers 2 and Captain America 2. The rest might have been alright or okay. This one, I reckon, is one of the better Marvel sequels. It feels still really original. It's funny when it has to be, and it's serious when it doesn't have to be. It knows when to be funny and not, I guess. The action, I would say, might have slightly improved. The CGI and the visuals were better, and it's just but it's just incredibly entertaining all the way through. And Ant-Man and the Wasp overall is a really solid, good movie, and I can recommend seeing it in cinemas. Paul Rudd is great as Scott Lang again. Like, all the performances all round are like great or solid, and Michael Pena still steals every scene he's in. He's really funny throughout the movie. I just want to talk about some of the newcomers and their performances. Walton Goggins is a character named Sonny Birch. He seemed a little bit over the top. He was pretty one note for the most part, and wasn't overall that interesting of a character. Lawrence Fishburne plays a guy named Dr. Bill Foster. Some people know him from the comics. If you don't, you'll find out in the movie. And then he's alright. He's not amazing. He's a bit more of a complex character, but it's still much more, his character arc is much more cliche than you think. But Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, she's really good. It's a really interesting villain and how they play it, and how it can be used for an analogy of, like, you know, terminal illness. She's a really sympathetic character because you understand what she wants, and she doesn't really care if she's doing the right thing or the wrong thing. She's just doing what she needs to do. And Michelle Pfeiffer, she's in the movie, she's on the poster, she's pretty good for the scenes she's in. She's not in it a whole lot, but she's pretty good for the scenes she's in. Randall Park is funny, he plays an FBI investigator, super funny in how he keeps Scott Lang in check. And I do want to touch on one thing, like Cassie, the daughter of Scott Lang, super funny, she's great, love her in the movie again. The visuals are also really great, how they shrink and grow, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, but they're all really great. The CGI in the quantum realm is really good, and the giant ants in the movie are great, but the most impressive CGI by far is the de-aging effect, and they use it for a bunch of characters in the movie, and they're all fantastically done. You can barely tell that they've been CGI'd on. It looks like you did just take Michael Douglas from the 80s and put him in the movie now, or you took like any of the other characters. Peyton Reed does a pretty good job in terms of directing. Each scene seems to have a bit of flair in it, not really like the typical Marvel flair, but much more sort of smaller scale, more personal flair, which I think this movie sort of deserves given the title of the characters. But by far and away, probably a little bit of an insult to the movie. The best part of the movie is the post-credit scene. You gotta watch it, it will blow your mind. Like, if the movie's really good overall, but that post-credit scene is something I cannot stop thinking about over and over in my head. I just can't stop thinking about it. As for some negatives in the movie, I would say it's more the pacing in the movie. The movie's less than 2 hours long, which I found incredibly surprising. When I walk out of the movie, looked at myself, I'm like, oh, the movie was less than 2 hours long. I didn't know how long it was going in, but it felt like it was a bit over 2 hours long, like it was reaching 2:10, 2:15. Some really long, elongated movie length runtime like that. It felt way too long, way longer than it should have been, and it wasn't actually that long. It's just the second act that dragged on way too long. And it felt like, and the third act didn't really feel like it was starting. It felt like the second act sort of really bled into the third act. And the third act just felt really underwhelming on how they did the entire thing. Ant-Man and the Wasp is super fun, super entertaining, and it's a pretty good Marvel sequel. There haven't been a whole ton of good Marvel sequels, but this one I would call good. So I will say that Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'll buy it on DVD. Have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and comment on the planet, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Well done, you made it to the end of the video. Why don't you click on one of these two videos for more content, or subscribe, so just be reminded of when I upload, so you know, subscribe. That'd be great.